DeFeo, he murdered his family. Is it the demonic entity that caused him to do that, or entities that caused him to do that were also tormenting the Lutzes, or I think it's equally as possible that it could be maybe the family of DeFeo that was murdered. Maybe they're holding that place down and causing people to experience weird paranormal things there. I personally lean more towards the demonic explanation. I mean, this guy heard voices. He was encouraged to do it. I mean, a man with black hands handed him the rifle out of thin air. I think it was demonically influenced. That's my personal conclusion. They moved in 75, and the murders were 74. And it was about a year. I think the murders were November 13th, 74. They moved in December 75. So there's only a little over a year.
So now we get into where Ed and Lorraine come in. Their involvement in the Amityville Horror case began after the Lutz family had left the house.
That is something I was not aware of. So they came after they left, so they conducted their own investigation of the Amityville house. They were looking for signs of paranormal activity. They claimed to have performed cleansing rituals and exorcisms to rid the house of negative entities.
Also, it might not be the house itself, but the land that it's on.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of places you see these brand new houses, like, oh, it's haunted. Why is it haunted?
Yeah, it could be the land.
It could be the land itself.
I mean, I heard a legend about Native American burial ground. Oh, this house was built on a Native American burial ground. All the houses in this neighborhood. A lot of weird activity that goes on here. Very true to the land having something to do with it. As Ed and Lorraine Warren, they took possession of things that they believed housed paranormal phenomena. And I mean, you gotta be, I don't know, I personally think you gotta be crazy to want to take that stuff with you.
Some people that do take it probably aren't really believers in that, and they just...
That's a very good point. They might be super skeptical and like, this ain't anything, this is just cool for my excursion, let me take this as a souvenir. And they're none the wiser to the fact that they just invited something to tail along with them on their adventures. That's why I won't personally myself go on a ghost hunt or an investigation like this.
Not yet. We'll get them to go on an investigation one day.
We'll see. Depends on what it's about.
They took possession of a mirror from the Amityville house, which they believed held supernatural significance.
You think mirrors are creepy?
They definitely are.
I think mirrors are creepy. I think there's something just uncanny about them. Arnie Cheyenne Johnson was arrested and charged with the murder of Alan Bono. During the trial, Johnson's defense team, led by attorney Martin Minella, argued that Johnson was not criminally responsible for the murder due to demonic possession. They claimed that Johnson had been possessed by a demon at the time of the crime, and this possession rendered him incapable of controlling his actions. Defense also introduced the concept of an exorcism performed on David Glatzel. Glatzel was the younger brother of Arnie Johnson's fiancée, Debbie Glatzel. The defense argued that during the exorcism, the demon transferred from David to Johnson, leading to the alleged possession. Glatzel says that in 1980, when he was 11, he was possessed by the devil, which he first encountered in Arnie and Debbie's new house. The legal system acknowledges the existence of God just by asking for you to tell the truth and the whole truth, and you swear on the Bible, correct?
Yeah.
If you're going to acknowledge that, then why is this not a valid defense?
This is another case of the house itself.
Yeah.
If the Amityville house was haunted prior to the original,
Robert Defoe.
maybe he brought something in.
I think that it's probably the house. Didn't you look into what the dates of these murder events had in common?
I looked at both of the exact dates. I researched the moon phase. And it could be nothing, it could be something, but the angle of the moon on November 13th, 1974, from the other case, the Amityville, was 29.69 degrees.
Now, what exactly is a moon angle?
It's like a specific location in the sky at that moment. Imagine like a circle representing the entire sky, and the moon's position along its orbit is measured as an angle from like a specific starting point. A complete 360 degrees represents one orbit around the Earth.
The fact that the moon angle between the first date, what was November 13th, 1974, and the second date of Devil Made Me Do It that we were just discussing, that one was February 16th, 1981. So these are significantly far apart, 74 to 81, and the moon angular was 29.68 for the second one, 29.69 for the first one. The moon is practically in the same place in its orbit around the Earth. I think that they do play a role when it comes to their position and the effects that it has on maybe people. Maybe when the moon is at that point, that is one of the spiritual laws that exists for these demonic entities to be able to interact with our plane of existence. Maybe that is like the door's locked until that moon hits there, then the door's unlocked, and now they can come out to play. That's just a theory. That is the only key thing you could find in common, other than involvement. Warrens. Their involvement in these events. Enfield Poltergeist. This haunting occurred in Enfield, London during the late 1970s. The case gained widespread attention and was the inspiration for movies and documentaries.
Specifically, The Conjuring 2. It's actually one of the most famous and well-documented cases in paranormal history. Testimonies included seeing furniture levitate, objects being thrown, and hearing unexplained voices.
With the 11-year-old little boy, David, he had the strength to overpower 5 men. With these little girls, they had the ability to levitate, and they were extremely strong too, that he mentioned. It's not like that's coming from nowhere. The Stanley Hotel in Colorado served as an inspiration for Stephen King's novel The Shining. It was renowned for its association with paranormal phenomena. Guests and staff have reported eerie experiences contributing to the hotel's reputation as a haunted destination.
The hotel gained a reputation for luxury and hosted prominent guests, including Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla.
Nikola Tesla, there's a lot of theories about that man. We could have just a Nikola Tesla episode. As a precursor, the fact that he was there as an early guest, I think, could play a part in paranormal activity happening there. And there are topics about how he had access to knowledge that would baffle us today.
Stanley Hotel became widely known and popular in culture due to Stephen King's stay in room 217. The experience inspired his best-selling novel, as you may know, The Shining. King and his wife, Tabitha, checked into the Stanley Hotel in its off-season. The eerie ambiance of the nearly empty hotel is what actually influenced the story. Guests and staff have reported various paranormal experiences, including ghostly apparitions, strange sounds, and unexplained phenomena. Room 217, the room where King stayed, is often associated with the most paranormal activity. When Stephen King stayed in the hotel, he didn't report any paranormal experience during the stay.
If he did experience things and he didn't want to say that so that his writing prowess wasn't doubted as being not creative. Maybe he did experience things, and instead of saying, hey, I experienced these things, I wrote a book about it, he goes, yeah, I experienced nothing. I wrote this crazy good book, and it's just a recounting of his experiences, but he doesn't want you to know that, because then it makes him have less credit for being a creative.
But now multiple guests are reporting these things.
I think that whatever he did there, he tapped into something and it stayed behind.
Another left field thought, maybe the stories that we share, an example of creating something out of nothing. Perhaps by projecting our collective consciousness, we're bringing these mysteries to life. What do you think about that?
I think that's a very interesting thought. I think there's validity to that. I think there's something to be said about our collective consciousness, whether we are tapped into feeling that or not. Well, if a bunch of people get together and try to tell a story, like manifesting that together, I think there's something to be said about that collective consciousness. I think we should dive deeper into that in a future episode. Stay curious, stay open-minded, question everything to a reasonable extent, and continue your exploration on your own of the uncharted realms, whether it be through a personal investigation, via information online, or physical going to a place and looking for something. Stay safe and embrace that curiosity.
This is Beyond the Hub podcast, where the realms of the paranormal and conspiracies collide, and the truth is waiting to be unveiled. We'll see you next Monday.
See ya!